Good evening, everyone, and welcome to PBLs for the Young Student, What Teachers Need to Know. And we are with Social Studies Services, and we are so happy to present this webinar for you. My name is Melissa Knowles. I'm a consultant, a media specialist, and I have worked with Social Studies Services for quite a few years now. So I'd like to introduce our presenter tonight. Frederica Jesus is an educational consultant with Social Studies Services. She's also has a degree from the University of Texas and a master's in advanced literacy from Concordia, Texas University. She currently teaches second grade at Count Elementary School and resides in Austin, Texas. And we welcome her here to share her knowledge with us, and we're excited to learn a lot tonight. Thank you, Frederica.
Thank you so much, Melissa. Tonight we're going to be looking at PBLs for the young student, what teachers need to know. Problem-based learning, PBL, is an instructional, student-centered approach that empowers learners to conduct research, integrate theory and practice, and apply knowledge and skill to develop a solution to a defined problem. This learner-centered approach has been in practice for about 30 years and has gained acceptance in multiple disciplines. This type of learning helps students develop the ability to assess what they know and don't know about a situation, how to acquire needed information and make decisions. Students learn to support their decisions that they read. This means that PBL allows students to learn standards and skills while solving a problem. The teaching practices within a PBL can be incorporated into everyday practice. The length of the PBL, problem-based learning, is determined by how many standards and process skills are being taught, practiced, or assessed. What benefits students, what are the benefits for students of problem-based learning? Critical thinking, problem solving, real-world problems, learning to research information, ways to communicate, learn intrinsic motivation, collaboration with peers. Students gain the important ability to think critically, analyze and solve complex real-world problems, to find, evaluate, and analyze learning resources, to work cooperatively, effectively, use those communication skills, and to use content knowledge and intellectual skills to become continual learners. Let's look at this visual adapted from the UT Dallas PBL process model. Problem-based learning, and we're going to start at the bottom left and follow the arrow. And this will allow us a visual of what the process is like. Number one, you want to introduce the problem, and that would be the entry event. Number two, list known facts. That's part of the problem, defining the problem. List the need to knows. This is also part of the problem. Number four, critique, revise, and reflect. Make hypotheses. Number five, critique, revise, and reflect. Acquire new information. And number six, choose defendable solutions and choose which one you're actually going to present publicly as your solution. So when I'm thinking of what steps I would take as a classroom teacher, I'd like to break it down. Number one, I would introduce the problem with the event. This might be a typical schedule that you could follow. Number 2, list the known facts. Students will identify what they know. Each group may take their own list, or the large group could make a single list. Number 3, problem, list the need to knows. Students will determine what they don't know. These are the need to knows. Each small group will make a list. Students will decide where the information is that they need. Number 4, critique, revise, and reflect. Each group will make a hypothesis. They'll identify what could be going on and create a list of possible hypotheses. Groups will consider what information is necessary to support or refute each hypothesis. Number 5, critique, revise, and reflect. Acquire new information. Groups find needed information that they have identified, and they'll integrate it into their schema. Then they'll look at their hypotheses and re-rank them. Which one do they feel is the strongest? They'll choose the most viable hypotheses and assemble supporting information. Number 6, looking at defendable solutions. Each group will then finally present and defend the chosen solution they feel is best for that identified problem, and they will make it that their public solution. So in the classroom, within a classroom, teachers construct bulletin boards to show progress as the PBL unit moves along. This is an example of a PBL bulletin board. You can see the driving question, the need to know ideas, and the outcomes. Special thanks here to the Buck Institute. So let's look at some ideas to scaffold learning of students in elementary school that would help students from kinder through 3rd grade within a classroom. Here is a class-generated list of places student groups or individuals could go to research and find information. You'll also see a map of with constructs utilizing unconventional pieces to plan, organize, and motivate. Another PBL problem in the social studies realm uses Benjamin Franklin and his life and accomplishments that have impacted our world today. The problem that you would read the students would have: on January 17, 1706, Abiah Franklin gave birth to her 8th child. Josiah and Abiah named him Benjamin. Little did they know what an extraordinary person their son would become. Benjamin Franklin contributed to America in the fields of science, literature, and government. He founded many organizations we take for granted. Through his thoughts, his words, and deeds, he shaped our country. His influence continues even today. So the question for the students to look at: which of Franklin's accomplishments do you believe had the greatest long-term impact? Now, this is an example of a 2nd grade problem, and it would be a beginner level problem. It would be easy to adapt and switch out the people to fit what your need was. You could look at people of the past that really influenced the world we live in today. And some good examples might be, good candidates for this would be Milton Hershey, Thomas Jefferson, Cesar Chavez, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King Jr., just to name a few. It could also be simplified, or it could be made more complex if you needed to go down to 1st grade level or go up to 3rd grade. So Benjamin Franklin, this would be how would we apply it to this PBL step by step. So step 1, each member of the group identifies what they know about Benjamin Franklin. Step 2, identify what you need to learn about Ben Franklin's accomplishments. Be specific. So make a list, assign each member of the group to find the answer or the fact. Everyone will research information. Students can work together, but they don't have to. Step 3. As a group, discuss your findings on Franklin. Decide on an accomplishment and list your reasons for the selection. Step 4. Create a project, a product, or report to explain your choice and support its selection. Ideas include make a poster, create a booklet, or develop a newscast. You can also look at resources for this PBL. You could utilize things such as checking out books from your local library, BrainPop Junior, or resources online. For this one, The World of Benjamin Franklin. Special thanks goes to mrsoshouse.com for input on this one. So let's review that visual adapted from the UT Dallas PBL process model again. So if we look at the bottom left, we see we introduce the problem as an entry event. Number 2, we list the known facts. And number 3, what are the need to knows? Both of these are your problem. You'll notice number 4, critique, revise, and reflect. This is where you're making the hypotheses. You'll critique, revise, and reflect again, and you'll look at what information you need and acquire new information. Step 5. Number 6. This is where you're going to look at all of your solutions and which one is really the most viable option. And that's the one that's going to be public that you'll present out. Now, sometimes people will ask, is project-based learning the same as problem-based learning? Project-based learning is similar in that the learning activities are organized around achieving a shared goal or project. But the learners are usually provided with specifications for a desired end product, such as build a rocket, design a website, something like that. The learning process is more oriented to following correct procedures. As learners work on a project, they might encounter problems that generate or allow for teachable moments. Teachers are more likely to be instructors or coaches who provide guidance, feedback, or make suggestions for better ways to achieve the final product. So project-based is really, it comes down to the role of the tutor. Inquiry-based teaching and project-based teaching, the role of the tutor is the facilitator of the learning. They encourage, they have the high expectations, but they also provide the information. Problem-based learning, the tutor supports the process and expects the learner to make their thinking clear. However, the tutor does not provide the information related to the problem. That falls on the learner and their responsibility. So the learner has to do their own research and come up with their own information. Here are some K-3 project-based learning examples. They make a compelling case for a viewpoint other than that of your own on an issue. So for example, kids should have so many minutes of recess each day. You could have students then research the benefits of recess or active movement for learning. Another example, does it really matter if we recycle? Students could study the role of recycling and the role it plays within our environment and how to recycle effectively. Another example, the amount of screen time on electronic devices, it doesn't affect me. Students could then examine research for appropriate amounts of screen time, as well as the effects of time on electronic devices. One more PBL we want to look at, and that is performance-based learning. This is a student-centered approach where the end product is displayed through the visual arts. Skits, song or poetry, radio talk shows, commercials, social media. These are a few examples emphasizing the role of the visual arts. In closing, problem-based learning or project-based learning, PBLs, is an approach that allows all students to learn standards and skills while solving a problem. The teaching practices within a PBL can be incorporated into everyday practice. This type of learning helps students develop the ability to assess what they know and don't know about a situation, how to acquire needed information, and make decisions. Students learn how to support their decisions that they reach. It allows for students to solve real-world problems. It's student-driven, it's evaluative, and builds intrinsic motivation to keep learning. This will allow students to be ready for the world they live in the future. There are so many benefits that prepare students. It will make an impact on their lives and yours too. Thank you so much. Special thanks to the University of Texas at Dallas, Austin ISD, and globaldigitalcitizen.org. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frederica. That was amazing. Great job. I completely agree with you and how it motivates students, and I really enjoyed these as a student myself, and I enjoy them as a teacher too, because you are sort of releasing a lot of the power to the students, which I love seeing. They're learning through that. Do you agree?
Yes, I do.
It's so much fun to see them acquiring their own knowledge and solving problems and getting excited and sharing, and that is just one of my favorite things about teaching. And it took me a long time to get to that place, and a lot of webinars and a lot of support, but I appreciate you being here tonight and sharing project-based learning for the young student, what teachers need to know, because as teachers we have to begin these steps, and so this is a great step in the right direction with teaching our classes. So once again, thank you everyone for attending. Thank you so much, Frederica. You did a great job. And we have recorded this webinar, so if you'd like to watch it later, you're welcome to. And we hope to see you again at another webinar. Good night.